Hi friends. Now after studying the Indus river system, we will do some of the smaller type, that is the Indus water treaty, so that you have a basic idea of what this Indus water treaty is, and also some of the major hydroelectric power projects which are in the news, which can be in the news, which are important, that we'll do, so that they will help you in the preliminary examination. This may also help you in the main examination. Indus water treaty as such is the topic which is more important for the main examination. This topic is more important for main examination, while the major projects on Indus water river are more important for preliminary examination, for the prelims examination. So let us study what is the first. Initially we will study the Indus water treaty system. That is the treaty system which is between India and Pakistan when the two new countries were, when the Pakistan was created after the end of British rule. We will look at the background of the Indus water treaty system. So at the time of independence, a boundary line was drawn between the two states, between the two countries, not the two states, between the two countries. That is the two new independent countries which were born. It was drawn by which person? We have done that. It is known as a Radcliffe line. And this Radcliffe line passed through the Indus basin region. I am not saying only through the Indus river. What is Indus basin? Look at the first lecture. Basin means the entire river, uska tributaries, and thus this entire is known as Indus basin. The entire catchment area of a river is known as an Indus basin. Tributaries of Indus, Jhelum for example, or Satluj ka tributaries. Uske tributaries ka sub-tributaries is what is made up of Indus basin. And therefore, it drew the line, it divided the Indus basin also. Water is a scarce resource. Fresh water is becoming a scarce resource. Water is a resource and the fresh water is becoming a scarce resource. Why? Because we are not utilizing this water properly. Overexploitation, groundwater pollution, river pollution, sea pollution. This all is affecting the quality of water we are using, and water is required, fresh water is required for irrigation, to create food, to produce food. It is used for day-to-day activities, and it is also required for drinking. So, as a result, water disputes are the future disputes. Even the water disputes are there also, but as we go into the future, when water is becoming a scarce resource, when there is a global climate change and its effect in the decreasing pattern of the rainfall or fluctuations in the amount of rainfall, both internally as well as internationally, there will be increasing water disputes. Internally between the two states, internationally between the two countries. Indus river is an international river. It originates in the Tibet, it flows through China, flows through India, and then it goes into the Pakistan region. Can you see China and India? Most of the tributaries of river Indus originate in India. Indus is a perennial river. It receives large amount of rainfall also, but it receives most of the water from the snow melt. But when it goes to Pakistan, when it enters the Pakistan and when finally it goes through Punjab plains, then to Sindh and then to the Arabian Sea, you see it enters arid and the semi-arid regions. Punjab plains of India and Punjab plains of Pakistan, both are agriculturally very important. Punjab plains of Pakistan, similar to the Punjab plains of India, is the food basket of Pakistan. It is the political powerhouse of Pakistan. It is having maximum amount of representation and bargaining power. What you learn as a pressure group in the paper 2 polity mein, you will learn it as a pressure group. So as a result, Indus water treaty is an important treaty. Why? Because there was a dispute after independence because of the division of the Indus basin. Therefore, obviously, the Punjab region of Pakistan, there were many irrigation canal supplies, many irrigation systems, many power projects which were dependent on the Indus water. But now that Indus water, that the complete were left in Indian territories. So the irrigation projects on which the Pakistani part of Pakistani Punjab dependent, that irrigation projects were left to India, and as a result, there was a need for Indus Water Treaty. So we can see at the time of independence, a boundary line between the two newly created independent countries, Pakistan and India, was drawn right across the Indus basin, leaving Pakistan as lower riparian state. What do you mean by lower riparian state? Lower riparian state means if this is India and this is where the Indus River is originating, Pakistan lies at the lower part, and therefore it is an example of an lower riparian state. As a result, the Pakistan irrigation supplies on which Punjab, that in the part of Pakistan, had been completely dependent, were left in India. So see here, Pakistan is a lower riparian state for Indus because India lies at the higher part. Brahmaputra mein India is a lower riparian state, China is in the higher part. So Bangladesh is lower riparian state as compared to Ganga and Brahmaputra as compared to India. So higher riparian state and the lower riparian state. Thus, a dispute arose between the two nations. Negotiations were held, and this is what is important, that who held the negotiations. The negotiations were held under International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. What we call this bank as? We call this bank as World Bank, and resulted into signing of Indus Water Treaty in 1960. What you have to remember here, World Bank was the negotiator. For Indus Water Treaty of 1960. World Bank was the negotiator for the Indus Water Treaty of 1960. Then, now let us look at the Indus River system. What I have told you, in June, cars run bit slow. Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Bias, and Satluj. So these are the different types of the rivers which originate in the these are the different rivers which this is how the major tributaries of Indus River system is. And I have told you how is this. This is from northeast to southwest, that is in June car runs so. So the first three rivers, Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, that is the river Indus, river Jhelum and river Chenab. These three rivers, according to the Indus Water Treaty. Now tell me whether these are western rivers or eastern rivers as we compare it to India. They lie in the northwestern part, so we call them as a western rivers. While the remaining three rivers, that is Bias, Ravi, Bias and Satluj. These three are the eastern rivers when we compare it with India, southeastern river. Now, according to the Indus Water Treaty, western rivers have been given to Pakistan, while the eastern rivers have been given to India. Now, why? Because you see the India, now this the thing about the Indus Water Treaty, I am leaving you here with something to think of. Is Pakistan really interested in the Kashmir because of the religious reason? Yeah, Pakistan is more interested in Kashmir, and it wants some part of Kashmir because the major water resources of Pakistan, you can see in the map, are originating in India, originating in the Jammu Kashmir region. And is it why it is also, and is it why it is so much interested in Pakistan, in the Kashmir? And is this the reason why Pakistan is using the religious angle to, we can say, divert the Kashmir issue on the religious lines? Because religion is opium for masses. This is what religion is, the weak point for the masses. So is really Pakistan interested in religion, or is Pakistan interested in securing its water resources, especially for the Punjab region, especially for this region, that is the Punjab region? Why I told you, I must have told you, most of the politicians, almost all prime ministers of Pakistan are from the Punjab region. Each and every army chief, one of the most important pressure group is from the Punjab region. And therefore, Pakistan is using a terrorist and the militancy as an angle for securing Kashmir, because if Kashmir is with Pakistan, then it does not have to worry about the water resources which originate in the Kashmir region. On the other hand, if the Kashmir, till the time Kashmir lies with India, in the case of a dispute, India being a upper riparian state, it always has an upper hand to block these water resources and thus cause floods or drought in Pakistan if it follows such a foreign policy. But India is a soft country. India is not following such a foreign policy. In fact, it is said that the Indus Water Treaty is favoring Pakistan a lot, and there is a time to renegotiate the Indus Water Treaty, because most of these rivers are originating in India, enter through India, and India can utilize just 20% of water of this Indus River, while rest 80% of the water is being utilized by Pakistan. In fact, I think the time has come hard to renegotiate the Indus Water Treaty and show India is a hard power. Or then the second option both these countries have is to live in peace, have a mutual trust, have a mutual agreement, rather than stoking the militancy, rather than stoking the Kashmir issue. But international diplomacy, I do not know, it is not my subject also. Why I'm just giving you a food for thought here, that the different angle for the Kashmir issue. Because, and that is why, is it true? Yes. If you see Azhar Masood, if you see most of the people whom are in the terrorist most wanted list of India, they all instigate the Pakistani people not more on the Kashmir issue, but on the water issue. Azhar Masood, I guess his name is, he instigates the people in Punjab, saying that India may cause droughts in the Pakistan during the times of need. How? By stopping the flow of water by constructing dams over here. Or India, if it opens the floodgates of the dams, it opens the gates of the dams, it can cause floods even in the Pakistan region. So you can see large scale destruction without physical war. That is always the advantage with the upper riparian state. So we can either try to live in peace, or we can just keep on fighting, and distrust can be there. I won't go too much into detail, but let us look at the Indus Water Treaty here. So the Indus river system, the Indus system of river comprises of 3 eastern rivers, Ravi, Beas and Satluj and their tributaries, and the 3 western rivers of Indus, Jhelum, Chenab and the Uska tributaries. As I told you, as per the provisions of the treaty, India can use only 20% of the total water carried by the Indus river. In fact, what UPSC had asked, that is this a ripe time to renegotiate the Indus Water Treaty? To renegotiate the Indus Water Treaty. To renegotiate the Indus Water Treaty. Now let us look at the other provisions. I hope that you save this as a screenshot, or you may write it down, whatever it is. According to this treaty, the waters of 3 western rivers, that is Jhelum, Chenab and Indus, were allocated to Pakistan, and those of the 3 eastern rivers, that is Ravi, Beas and Satluj, were allocated to India. Obviously, because these rivers are originating, the Indus river, uske baad Jhelum river, Chenab river, these all are originating in India. Not entirely all the waters will be allocated to Pakistan. We can construct some of the dams on the 3 rivers, that is Indus, Jhelum and Chenab. So India cannot use this. India cannot fully utilize this water, but India can construct some of the projects which are putting some restrictions, which are been restricted. With some restrictions, India can utilize the water of these 3 rivers. That is, India can use this for domestic water use. India can use this water for irrigation, but with some construction. With some restrictions, India can use this for hydroelectric power generation, but cannot save, divert and control the water of this river. We cannot control or divert the water, but we can use this water for generation without affecting the flow of water of these rivers. And such projects are known as run of river projects. I have told you, see what are these projects. You here you will find that in the next slide you will find run of the river projects, but come to the first slide here. These are known as the run of river projects. That means India can construct run of river projects. I am writing this run of river projects on 3 western rivers. With some restrictions, obviously with some restrictions. Now what are these restrictions? India can construct certain restrictions about the water utilizations were placed on India, which is the upper riparian state. Now what are these restrictions? One restriction is India has not been allowed to build storage on the rivers where water has been allocated to Pakistan. Which river ka water has been allocated to Pakistan? Indus ka, Jhelum ka and Chenab ka. Why I have shown these 2 stethoscope like thing? Because Chandra and Bhaga. Restrictions have also been imposed on the extension of irrigation development in India. Obviously, less significant restrictions have been placed on Pakistan, being a lower riparian state. And therefore, I said that time to renegotiate the treaty. The treaty, is it successful? Yes, more or less it has been successful. Why? Because it provides for certain institutional arrangement. What are the institutional arrangements? Institutional arrangements means the arrangements which have been made by an institution, by a treaty, by a government, that in case something goes wrong, you have a correct operating procedure. You have a SOP, that is standard operating procedure to follow. So the treaty provides for certain institutional arrangement. A permanent Indus commission consisting of a commissioner for each India and for Pakistan has been set up, and there are periodical meetings and exchanges between the 2 sides. Now this is about the Indus Water Treaty. You remember, this is important about the Indus Water Treaty. For preliminary examination, kya yaad rakhoge? For preliminary examination, you will remember the western rivers consisting of Indus, Jhelum and Chenab are given to Pakistan. India can construct only run on river project on these rivers. Only run of river projects. What are these run of river projects? These are the projects which does not affect the flow of water. Run of river projects here. While the three eastern rivers, Ravi, Bias and Satluj, are given to India. This is what you remember here. These are given to India. Now let us look at some of the important dams which have been in the news, because India, according to Pakistan, India is violating the Indus Water Treaty, or according to India, it is not violating the Indus Water Treaty. The first dam which you should know is the Kishan Ganga hydroelectric power project, or the Kishan Ganga dam. Now the Kishan Ganga dam is a dam on river Kishan Ganga. You know that this is the river Jhelum. It flows through a lake which is known as an oxbow lake, which is known as Wular lake. Then it cuts through the Pir Panjal range. This is the Pir Panjal range. After that, we have done a tributary of river Jhelum, that is the river Kishan Ganga. River Kishan Ganga. This is Kishan Ganga river. This is Jhelum river. So Kishan Ganga dam is a dam in the Jammu Kashmir. Obviously, which state? This is the Kashmir region. In fact, to be precise, the state is Jammu Kashmir, but this region is Kashmir Valley. So it is a Kishan Ganga HEP is a project on river Kishan Ganga in the Jammu Kashmir. Now remember, Kishan Ganga river is also known as Neelam river in which state? In which country? In the country of Pakistan. So it is known as Kishan Ganga in India, but if it goes to Pakistan, it is known as Neelam river. Kishan Ganga is a tributary of river Jhelum. So this is the first project, Kishan Ganga HEP on the river Kishan Ganga or river Jhelum, indirectly river Jhelum, because Kishan Ganga is a tributary of river Jhelum in India. It has been contested by Pakistan, but overall the project has been awarded to India, saying that India has not violated the rights. You are not required to go that much into detail. Second project which is located on river Jhelum is Uri project on Jhelum. Again in the Baramulla region of Jammu and Kashmir, or you remember Jammu and Kashmir only. So remember, on river Jhelum, you have two projects. One is Kishan Ganga and the second is Uri. Uri HEP on river Jhelum. How to remember it? Remember it somewhat. Make your own shortcuts. I won't give you too many shortcuts. Remember it somewhat. Kishan Jail se Udi. Se Udi. That is Hindi word. Kishan Jail se Udi. That is Kishan Ganga is our river, Uri is a river, and J is Jhelum. So this is why, if the question comes, Kishan Jail se Udi. Who jail se Udi? Kishan Jail se Udi. Kishan Ganga on Jhelum river, Udi on Jhelum river. The third important HEP is the Baglihar Dam. Baglihar Dam or Baglihar Hydroelectric Power Projects is again a run-of-river project on Chenab River. Pakistan has objected to it in 2005, but World Bank appointed Professor Raymond Lafitte, a Swiss civil engineer, to educate the difference. Obviously, the World Bank has now awarded the project to India with some changes, with some minor changes, looking into Pakistan's objection. But most of the Pakistan's objection were found to be baseless. Why? Because India had not violated the terms of treaty. So, Kishanganga Jhelum, Udgai Jhelum, Uri hydroelectric power Jhelum, Baglihar on Chenab. Baglihar on Chenab. Remember, Chenab bagal mein hai. This statement, Chenab bagal mein hai, means Chenab side mein hai. Chenab Baglihar. Then the other dam is the Thin Dam. See, the name looks European or Chinese name, but it is not a Chinese name. Thin Dam. And this dam ka jo reservoir which is collected, it is known as a Ranjit Sagar Reservoir. Thin Dam or Ranjit Sagar Reservoir is on river Ravi in the Gurdaspur district of Punjab. It is on the Ravi river in the Gurdaspur district of Punjab. So, Ravi, Ranjit Sagar. R and the Ranjit Sagar ka dam is known as Thin Dam. Where? Which state? Punjab. Because UPSC will ask you state where it is located and river where it is located. And generally, agar reservoir ka name it is asked. So you will have to remember it in the 3 counts. State kaun sa hai? What we have done? Kishanganga, Jhelum, Jammu Kashmir. Uske baad Uri, Jhelum, Jammu Kashmir. Kishanganga actually on river Kishanganga. Baglihar, Chenab. Chenab bagal mein hai. Baglihar, this is how you remember. Chenab bagal mein hai. This remember. So Chenab Baglihar project. State Jammu Kashmir. Thin Dam, Ranjit Sagar Lake or Ranjit Sagar Reservoir. RR on river Ravi. Then comes Dulhasti Hydroelectric Power Project. Dulhasti Hydroelectric Power Project. Again, it is being built by India on the Chenab river in the Jammu and the Kashmir region. So, Chenab बगल में, so Baglihar, Chenab, Dhul हस्ती और दूर है, that you remember Chenab also has दूर है भी बगल में भी है, that is Dhul हस्ती is also on river Chenab and Baglihar is also on river Chenab. Then there is a small hydroelectric power project known as Ratle Hydroelectric Power Project on Chenab, again in the state of Jammu Kashmir. So Dulhasti on Chenab, Ratle in Chenab and Baglihar on Chenab. But Dulhasti is important and Baglihar is important. That is why I am giving you a statement. Chenab dur bhi hai, Dulhasti wala dur, and bagal mein bhi hai. That is Baglihar wala bagal. I guess you, even my friends from the non-Hindi speaking states, are comfortable with this much Hindi. So the next is the Chamera Dam. Remember, the Chamera Dam is Mera Ravi Mera. Is located on river Ravi near the town of Dalhousie. You don't have to remember Dalhousie. But why I am giving you the name of Dalhousie? So that Dalhousie being a very beautiful hill station, a very popular hill station, you will remember Chamera, Dalhousie, Ravi. And which state? You will remember Chamera on Himachal Pradesh. In the Himachal Pradesh. So Ravi, we have done 2 dams. One is the Thin Dam, one is Thin Dam, and second is Chamera Dam. Remember, Ravika one dam is in Punjab and the other one is Chamera is in Himachal Pradesh. Chamera is in Himachal Pradesh near Dalhousie. Then one of the biggest dam is the Bhakra Nangal Dam. It was called by the temple of modern India by our first Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Now, when it was built, it was the highest dam in India. It was the highest dam in India. Now, after the coming up of Tehri Dam on river Bhagirathi, Ganga, it has become the second highest dam. But on which river? Bhakra Nangal Dam is on the Satluj River in Bilaspur district of Himachal Pradesh, in the Bilaspur region of Himachal Pradesh. Now, this is one, remember, Bhakra Nangal Dam ka location is Himachal Pradesh. But surprisingly, it is a joint venture between Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Though Bhakra Nangal on Satluj River, Satluj, joint venture between Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Remember this again and again. It is a joint venture between Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Though it is located in the state of Himachal Pradesh, Bhakra Nangal Dam, the state of Himachal Pradesh has nothing to do with the Bhakra Nangal Dam. It is a joint venture between the state of, repeat with me, Bhakra Nangal Dam is a joint venture between the state of Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Himachal Pradesh has nothing to do. Bhakra Nangal, Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Many times UPSC has asked this question and it may ask you in the future also. It is a joint venture between two. Remember, it is the second highest dam in India after Tehri Dam. That means the Tehri Dam is the highest. That is why I am giving you this. Nangal Dam, actually there are two dams. One is Bhakra Nangal and the other, one is Bhakra Dam and the other is Nangal Dam. But it is jointly referred as Bhakra Nangal Dam. But remember, Nangal Dam is another dam downstream of Bhakra Dam. However, sometimes both the dams together are called Bhakra Nangal Dam, though they are separate dams. Is it the largest dam in the terms of quantity of water in India? We generally think so, yes. But no, it is not. Today, it is not, because there have been many big HEP projects which have come up. In fact, in the terms of quantity of water, it is the third largest reservoir in India. The first being the Indira Sagar Dam in Madhya Pradesh. And don't remember with capacity. And the second, Nagarjuna Sagar. The first, in the terms of quantity of water, how much quantity of water is there in the reservoir? You can see this part which I am marking in the yellow color is the reservoir. So in the terms of reservoir quantity, how much, which is the largest? Indira Sagar on river Narmada. We will do it while doing river Narmada. Nagarjuna Sagar, we will do it while doing river Krishna, Nagarjuna Sagar. After that, then the Bhakra Nangal Dam comes. Bhakra Nangal Dam, Satluj River, between three states, Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. Though it is located in Himachal Pradesh is not in the sharing or the benefits of Bhakra Nangal Dam. Okay, so this were the major HEPs of Indus River. One or two questions come. So whatever this lecture is, write it down short in the notes. Many people ask me about the attachments. See, attachments are, I will give you the attachments, but what is more important rather than the attachment is my lecture. Because what I teach in the class, is not reflected in the attachments. Attachments are superficial. The main importance is you sit for the class, this class like a physical class with your notebook and write it down. Or even if you are traveling somewhere, you are listening to my lectures, at least listen it very carefully and just jot down the points if possible. If not, then re-repeat it, listening to the lectures. Okay? So thank you very much, and we'll meet with the future lectures. Until then, enjoy your studies.